is and what we're kind of trying to do. But there are some things that we're still trying to juggle with. You know, kind of going from like a tabletop turn-based thing into like a real-time, you know, strategy game. There are some things we're still kind of, you know, wrestling with, but like mechanics of focus, spinning them to cast spells and buff or jags and everything else, that's intrinsic to Warmachine. We have to have that. Yeah. But exactly how we do it and how fast it is to do it and everything, we're still kind of, you know,
yeah. But as Scott was saying, that there is definitely a translation that has to happen when you go from a turn-based structure to a real-time structure, because the concept of time is different. You know, in the tabletop game, a turn is a very defined thing. You say, okay, well, I can do this. You know, I have X number of points per turn that I can spend. So you'll say, well, what does a turn really mean in a real-time game? And so at that point, that's when recharge mechanics start to become more important. You know, I mean, the most important thing about focus is that what it does, you know, in the tabletop game is force you to make intelligent decisions about what you think is going to happen and what you think you're going to need to be prepared for. And that's a big element of what we want to make sure is incorporated into the real-time game as well. That that your sense of what's going on in the battlefield and your ability to appreciate the whole of the battle is really important to the choices you make about where you allocate your energy, what you decide to support, and what you decide to kind of leave on its own for a moment. So,
right there, Green.
I saw nods to all four factions. Is there going to be a multiplayer element where you get the choice to play as all four factions?
There is indeed multiplayer.
Yes.
It would not be Warmachine without multiplayer.
No, absolutely.
So absolutely, yeah. Multiplayer is a tremendously important element of this game. So, I won't tell you exactly who it's played yet.
No, can't reveal this. Who else? Okay, right back there.
Other than the four primary factions, there's also, you know, mercenaries and retribution in the Warmachine world, as well as hordes. So in the game, is everybody represented, or
well,
are you going to see elements from everywhere, or is it just going to focus on the core four factions?
The honest answer to that is basically the world of Warmachine is huge. It's giant. You know, we absolutely would love to touch on everything. We're probably going to have a section of Warmachine, you know, kind of presented. But we have options. I mean, now with the concept of, you know, say downloadable content and other stuff, you know, possibly expanding upon a core set is absolutely possible.
But at this time, just four factions are basically.
Yeah, right now that is the current plan.
Okay.
Given that the Warmachine community is really big on all aspects of this hobby, what plans do you guys have for tools for players to edit, make new maps, make maybe even new units, new characters, new scenarios, things like that?
That's something that actually I've been talking a lot with some of the other designers about, because it's being able to build your own scenarios. I think one is really cool in this game, and it's important to this game, but it's also, in my mind, it's important to the longevity of the multiplayer experience, because at that point, you know, I mean, there are defined maps. You get to know them, you learn how to play them, you get to love them, but then you've also got the ability to, you know, to construct your own. Now, exactly what that means, we're still working on.
Gotcha.
But definitely the idea of being able to create a scenario that you want to play, you and your friends want to play, and build the environment that you want to try out is huge. You know, plus it means really, you know, the tournament rules, you know, where each person takes turns placing objects. That to me is very cool and very interesting. I love the idea of the setup of the board itself being part of the gameplay experience. You know, so there's definitely talk about that. There are also, I mean, the stuff that you got to figure out when you're going to do that, about, like, you know how all the stuff gets hosted and all the rest of it. But, so
console stuff.
Logistics aside, it's something I think is really cool and I want to do.
Oh, fair enough. Thank you.